Hey, happy mother loving Friday. Welcome to another episode of the Uncorked Poetry Podcast. My name is T. I'll be your host, and my guest tonight, Ashanti Anderson. I don't know why the fuck I said your name like that. We are not fucking wrestling. Everyone,
It's
please.
fine. I love wrestling. You actually don't know how happy that just made me. I was like, whoa, I get the UFC introduction. Like I'm with it.
I used to love wrestling, man. Wrestling was my shit.
For
Stone
real.
Cold Steve Austin. I don't know why I love that white man, but I did.
For me, it was the Undertaker. That he just sold it.
The mysterious. He was just. I don't. He gave me the creeps. I was just like, what is he about?
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Thank you, Ashanti, for being on the podcast today. Happy Friday. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just kicked my dog out because he be loud as shit, and that's all right though. He had to go. But I forgot to ask: Are you? Do you drink alcohol?
Yes.
Okay. Feel free to drink whatever you want. Which is, I should have said that 5 minutes ago, but feel free to, if you want to get a break or get some alcohol, feel free to do that. I'm gonna drink some water because I'm on a cleanse right now.
I need more water in my life too, so I'm gonna hold on to this for right now.
Yeah. See, smart, smart. So I was looking through your poems and your book, and I found this great, great poem that you wrote. Ode to Black Skin. Listen, listen. That poem is so fucking dope. But there are two lines I wanted to talk to you about that really caught my attention. And there was this one line in the beginning where you said, "Remember, God could not have named a modicum of light without you." Like that shit hit me in my soul, bro. I was just like, I feel so like I felt like the black pride. You know what I mean? Like she's talking about me. I'm black. Like
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's dope. I'm so glad you felt that way because I mean that's what I really wanted to come across.
Mhm.
Um and that's why like I've had some folks ask me, um, well, why isn't it ode to black people? And I'm like, yeah, I just gotta
Yep.
shake my head. Like, no, like you didn't get it. That's okay. It's not for you.
It's okay.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
I felt it like in my soul, as a black kid growing up in the 90s, 80s baby, but 90s teenager. Like black just got in a couple decades ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just
Yeah.
seeing that at in my mid to late 30s, it's not important. Uh seeing that written and then like having the feeling of just black pride, even at this age, felt like a blessing. Like it felt really good to read that poem. And then you had another line that said, I d- damn it, damn it. Just it's a good damn it. So you said, I try to find you where the pages of the book meet. I'd throw my shoe at you right now if we were together. I absolutely would. Um, that the symmetry of that is just phenomenal. I, I, okay. I try to find you where the pages of the book meet. And immediately I think about like the spine of the book. And then I think about the spine of a person. And then I think about like the curve of a spine of a woman. And all of that together with all this black pride just felt right. Like it just felt fucking right. Like hot damn it. Mm. When did you write this poem and how did it come to you?
I wrote this poem the same day Black Panther came out.
You stop it.
I'm just playing. But honestly, like that movie is kind of like what I felt when I watched that, 8 times in the theater is the same thing I tried to bring um, to this poem. Definitely, like just overwhelmingly, like, oh, like that's what's up, like that's us, like
Word.
yeah. So I'm trying to think when that was. Um, I think I was in the MFA program.
Ooh, whoa.
Scary, right?
Yes, it is. So much reading. You did so much work.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. I just think, yeah, it was a lot of work, but a lot of personal self discovery came out of that too. Honestly,
Mhm,
because I mean, especially being a Black woman there,
mhm,
um, in that space was challenging in a lot of different ways, and I like finally because I went to a HBCU in undergrad. Um, at my high school in Texas, there were only like two non-black people total. Like, so going to the MFA was actually my first like real like experience with like a majority white environment.
What?
Yeah.
Can we please explore that for a second?
I mean,
What?
from like middle school. So my middle school was like
Mhm,
diverse or whatever, but then I moved and it
mhm,
was totally different. It was basically like a HBCU high school. Seriously, because I'm sure it was a segregated black school back in the 50s and 60s, right? So
mhm,
literally, yes, historically black high school, right? And then went to a historically black college and then went to a PWI. And it was the first time I had like a large number of white people looking at my work. And that was like a very interesting experience like because they assume they're always the audience. And I literally, like, they were not my audience for most of my life. Like, I would have white teachers, of course, right? And they would read things, but
mhm,
it was never like, oh, I'm writing for the teacher, right? Like,
mhm.
this is what Miss So and so would like. Like, no, like literally, like real life story. Hello, Miss Castleberry. If you happen to be listening to this, I do remember the one time I had written a story about um, about a slave, an enslaved person
Mhm.
being whipped. I was in the third grade. Okay, my mother had forced me to watch Roots. Okay, I was processing it.
Oh, no.
I was processing it.
Roots in the 3rd grade.
It was
Ugh.
supposed to be educational, and it was right in a lot of ways that I don't think my little 9-year-old brain was ready for. So,
Mhm,
I was a writer. I'm like, I'm gonna get this out. So, it was basically the Kunta Kinte scene, more or less, with my name is Toby and all that, and um, with automatopoeias and everything. And I was just like, here, lady, read the story I wrote.
Yo, what happened?
I like I had some really, really good teachers at that
Mhm,
school. Um, because I think she read it and
mhm.
just was like, that's nice, and handed it back. Like, it was not a major event, like
Mhm,
I feel like um, and that kind of allowed me, that in and of itself was kind of like, oh, okay, like, y'all can look at it, but not really influencing it that much, right? And then going to a place where I'm like, oh, like, wait a minute, like, no, they think that things are written for them, right? Whether I don't think it's conscious, right? But like when you're workshopping a poem, you are looking at it from the perspective of like, more or less your personal opinion on the craft level and things of the poem, right? So I spent a lot of time like kind of grappling with like, oh, well, if I write this thing, I notice I get this reaction. And if I write this thing, I notice I get this reaction. And I think at some point I was just like, well, I'm gonna write this like blackety black ass poem, and it's gonna be like so dope and so good. Like y'all ain't gonna have nothing to say. Like I won't leave the room for any other possibility. And I don't know, I just kind of went into the zone because it's kind of frustrating when you have poems that grapple with other subject matter, like the negative aspects of living life as a Black person, and those are the ones that are like, oh, like I love that one, and it's like that feels weird now. Like you're not supposed to love it. Like like that feels now I feel strange about it. Versus, this one I'm like, yeah, feel like this one, love this one. This one's great. Like love Ode to Black Skin as much as, the more like traumatizing ones, right? And that kind of has become the new kind of framework, I guess, for me. Just like when I think of audience and stuff, and just like I'm pretty much insisting that people like relish in like my pride and my love and my self-worth and self-respect and my interest, like relish in that as much as you relish in watching freaking body cam footage, right? Like why don't we celebrate this like why aren't we as moved, if not more moved, by my joy than my grief? So yeah, I don't remember the exact time that poem came about, but it really became like the first poem in which it's kind of an ars poetica in a way, without saying it, in the sense of, it really is my guiding star towards, what I want to accomplish with my poetry, which I think I've done. I tried.
I would say so from what I've read. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. So I want to ask you a question, and then can we head into your first poem? Cool beans. So I heard you say that you were writing this this slave poem or story in the third grade. So I wanted to know, when did writing and poetry find you? Obviously early, but do you remember when it found you?
Let me see. Writing in general probably found me probably as early as I could write. I think as early as I could write. You know how kids have imaginary friends? Like I would write mine down. And that's, I mean, is that not writing?
Yes,
But
that's beautiful.
writing down your imaginary friends, like if that's not the definition of writing, I don't know what I'm doing. um and I yeah, as early as I can remember, I should say, I've always been trying to tell some kind of story, and just never giving up. Like I would tell my mom, um I would be like, well, what if I write a story about a lion who's a king, whose brother throws him off of a cliff, and then his son, and then she'll be like, yeah, somebody did that already. It's called The Lion King. And she would do that to all my ideas when I was young, because, like, I was young. I had no great original ideas. Like,
Mhm,
I was just like, it was all very simple stuff, but I've been doing it forever and ever and ever. But
mhm.
poetry actually had only found me uh pretty recently, because I wasn't very exposed to it um at school. And it wasn't until I was in undergrad, actually, that I discovered poetry. Natasha Trethewey um was, I think, the first poet that I, like, seriously read.
Mhm,
And I was like, this is nice. I can do this. I can't finish a novel to save my life, but I could do that right there. And that's kind
mhm.
of what I started trying to do. I got a lot of compliments about it. I was like, I could keep doing this. This feels affirming, and, and here we are.
Yes, absolutely. Have you performed I said, like, one question, but I can't help myself. Have you performed your poetry live? Do you go to open mics and things like that?
Uh, no, not really. Um, just with the MFA, I feel like I'm just more used to working from the page, and I
Mhm.
know that there's way more that goes into spoken word. That yeah.
So much. I'm kidding, people. I'm so kidding. Oh my gosh.
um, so yeah, I just was like, I'm gonna leave that to the pros. But no, I don't do spoken word. I think I tried to write like one, and it was just all over the place. It
I get
was,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. I think my first spoken word was like something it rhymed too much with like Sally had a seashell, but it was ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. And I think I was in junior high school or high school, and they were just like, sis, this ain't it. Okay.
Oh.
We're gonna need you to go back and figure it out. Like, you're right. You're right. I came back though, mostly because I don't know why. But I'm gonna write that down and explore it. Thank you for that.
It be like that. Sometimes it's like, don't tell me what I can't
Right?
do.
Yeah. You don't know how many shells I could sell, all right? Don't know my life.
Exactly, exactly.
All right. Can we get into your first piece?
Yes. What about Ode to Black Skin?
Yes. Yes, please.
Alrighty. Ode to Black Skin. You are dark as religion. Remember, God could not have named a modicum of light without you. You are plum, black currant, passion, fruit in another woman's garden. You are black as and as if by magic. Black not as sin, but a cave straw, clamped shut by forgiveness. Color of closed wounds and bellies of ships. You, dark as not the tree trunk, but its every cleft. I chart each crescent moon rising above fingernail and rub together my thighs for want of you. I try to find you where the pages of books meet. You hang where men or piano keys segregate. When I miss you, I remember the hickey the sun left on the back of my neck. If I forget, I smoke blunts down to my fingertips and beg you to come on my lips. This is how I pray for you when I'm not pessimistic. I bow to your darkness like I kneel beside a child's bed, confessing as gospel. There's no monster here.
Just the fuck. I listen. If you're watching this live, or if you're reading, if you're listening to the podcast, that was dope as fuck. It was just beautiful. The symmetry, like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of do you remember, I'm not sure how old you are, but I used to go when I went to school in high school, we used to have like these days of like art, where someone would come in and share poetry, or someone would come in and share, music and stuff like that. And there was always like one cool ass person who would share something. You just like, the fuck? Like, oh my God. Like that, it just felt so like honest. Like I felt like you weren't just like reading a poem, like you're like taking off a piece of your soul and just like letting us look at it. Like I thought that was
Mm.
cool as shit.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have a question for you. D- Damn, that was awesome. Okay. Who was the first person to believe in your talents as a writer and a poet, and how has that encouragement affected your growth?
Hmm. Who's the first person? That's tough. Cause like I said, I've been writing in some way or another. Like it wasn't ever like a surprise, or everybody kind of went with it my whole life. Like, yeah, she'll probably like voted best or most likely to be a New York Times bestseller or something.
Word.
I'm flattering myself at that point. Nobody got that specific, but
You're right.
but
Speak it
yeah.
into existence.
I'm trying to think who maybe would have cultivated
Mhm.
that. And honestly, probably that same third grade teacher. um, just like, okay, this is a thing you like to do. Go, you know, go over there and do that. Like that's fine. Kids are into way worse things, right?
Definitely.
But honestly, to be completely honest, I really don't. I really don't know. I don't
Mhm.
know. Um, and I'm so grateful that most, if not all, of the people in my life are like very, very supportive. Like,
Mhm.
um, I think a good 80% of the people who bought my book are relatives who have never read poetry in their lives, and even that's exciting. I'm like, wow,
Yes.
you might like flip through this one day and just be like, whoa, like I'm related to her, like like
Like, what?
out. Like I didn't know, like I think my one of my cousins did say something like that recently, like,
Mhm.
wow, like this was impressive. Like I didn't know you was doing all that. And it's like, oh, that's nice. Like
Word.
I'm broadening horizons here. And that's nice to have. Like I don't feel like I have to like hide poems from people. Um like, oh, I hope they don't see that one. Like
Yeah.
I yeah. And it's like, no, they cool.
It's all right. Word. I just put the link to your book in the chat. So anyone watching, make sure you go check that out.
Nice, nice. Yeah, let's see if we can like even that scale, the
Right?
relatives to people who read poetry,
Okay.
balance.
Keep that down a little bit.
Mhm. Mhm.
Word. Word. What's your writing process? How do you? like sit down and get in the zone to write?
Oh my. Um, I'm looking around all oddly because it depends. It depends. It's like correlated with,
Mhm.
actually it's not. It's actually inversely correlated with how my life is going, ironically. Um like I wrote so much during the pandemic, having just a blast. Like, and then it's like, oh, like, is life going well? Is everything normal? When's the last time you wrote? It's like 2 years. So it's like totally like, just look at what's going on in the world, and however crazy it is, that's how much I'm writing. I actually have recently um like gotten like I'm working on anyway building the habit of like every time's the first time when it's the first time I sit at my desk, I like
Mhm.
have to write for at least 15 minutes. So like I try to like go into my office at work and like sit down and be like, this is 15 minutes of me time. Like, and when I come home, if I come to my desk now, I'm just like, I don't feel like it, then I guess I won't be getting anything done. Which is fine. Work life balance is great. So that ends up balancing out. But that's what I want my writing practice to be like, just like symbolically, like
Mhm.
my writing practice is the first priority when I sit down to do work because it is work.
Mhm.
Um, and just trying to be more consistent because before that, yeah, it was like I would get, wild ideas and like spend hours and hours and hours working on something at a time. And then there would be like a month of nothing. And it's like, I don't want I have too many ideas for such an inconsistent writing process.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping to get a lot more done in a lot less time now.
That I get. Uh, yeah. You ever like just get into modes of just like consistent writing for a good 3 hours and then nothing for like a week and a half?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yep. All the time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yep. But I've been reading because actually there's a book. It's like kind of unrelated to poetry, but it's how to write your journal article in 12 weeks by um a lady whose last name is Belcher, which I remember because of Bob's Burgers. So
Mhm.
um anyway, they mention in there like why people have trouble, sitting down and writing and stuff like that. And they were
Mhm.
actually talking about how it like the reason you can sit down for like 4 to 6 hours just writing and then don't write
Mhm.
for like 2 weeks is because you've essentially exhausted yourself with writing for that time period, right? So um well, I would just refer to me. I don't know if that applies to you, but that's how I felt. Like I would
Mhm.
give it all that I had, like do all that I could. Okay, it's like 6 hours. Like, ooh, I got a lot done. Okay, and then like not look at the document for a week, right? And
Mhm.
that's why I've been trying to stick to like 15 minutes at a time. I try not to go over an hour. Like if I start to feel myself getting exhausted, then I know that I'm gonna mess up the next day and the next day. So
Mm.
I like pull back and I'm like, okay, you getting a little tired, just save and exit.
Mhm.
And then that way I still have like that little, because writing also requires like a tiny little bit of, I wouldn't like necessarily call it anxiety, maybe apprehension, right? Like you kind of have to feel like, oh, I got to get this down. Like if that's
Mhm.
not there, then it doesn't get written down, right?
Yep.
So like that's where I try to like stop myself. Like I try to save enough apprehension to where the next day I still
Mhm.
feel like I need to write. So yeah, that's a lot of like bodily awareness shit I'm working on right now too. Like,
No, that's dope
um,
though.
yeah, and I've been doing pretty good unless like my day is just like ridiculously hectic. I really do like I have been managing it pretty consistently and I'm actually pretty happy about that.
Right? Yeah. When you can figure out a schedule, a writing schedule that works for you, where you don't just you ever just get up from writing, just I'm fucking done. I don't want to fucking do this anymore. I fuck you. I'm going home. You just
Yeah.
turn around, enough. Damn it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. 1,000%. I also like I also write screenplays and I feel like that all the time with those. Like I'll be outlining and planning and I'll be like, fuck this shit. Like it's not gonna win me an award. Like I'm not like it's too hard to break into with like
Mm-hmm.
ideas that aren't literally like the upper echelon of like high concept unless you're already a famous screenwriter and then all you have to do is write a sequel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're on the outside looking in, like you better have some Academy Award winning shit up your sleeve, like. So yeah, I feel that way all the time. Like I'll be writing something and I'll be like, throwing you away just for now. Maybe I'll revisit it. I'll be older and wiser and turn this into something great. But
Mm-hmm.
in the meantime, I'm gonna work on this other thing.
Word. Yeah, I had some ideas. Like I had this idea to write this screenplay about this woman who wanted to be like a crash test dummy, and
Oh
like that
my.
was like her. That's all she wanted in life was to be a crash test dummy, and then she kept getting replaced by like all these like machines because we don't have to like ram people into fucking shit to test it anymore. And it was her life's goal. It's so dumb. It was like the outlines of that movie. I was just like,
Honestly, that sounds amazing. Someone should buy that,
like
actually.
somebody hit me up. Yeah, so ridiculous.
Like, yeah, I mean, because that's honestly like I just watched 21 Jump Street for like the first time in my life last week. And I'm like,
It's
whoa,
so
like this movie is like stupid and I love it. Like it's weird. Like, but yeah, it's just like I'm not thinking about any bullshit right now. Like these fools are ridiculous.
mm-hmm.
Ice Cube is unnecessarily over the top right now.
God, I love it
Like,
so much.
yes, yes.
Oh my gosh. All right. One more question, and then can we head into your next piece?
Hmm.
All right. So this one is a little in depth. It's such a hard word for me to say. In depth.
Me too.
Just the way we spell shit is just unnecessary sometimes. Just
Yeah.
put
Like,
that.
what are those three letters even doing hanging out?
Like, fine, fine. Uh, what would 16-year-old Ashanti say if she saw you now?
She would talk shit. She'd probably be like, wow, if I was gonna turn out like that, I never would have been stressed out. Like, I could have saved so much energy. You all right. You doing fine.
Word.
You a little out of shape, but
Right.
I just appreciate my 16-year-old body a little more. If I could go back and be like, what you think is a stretch mark is not a stretch mark, ma'am. Like, calm down. You're 16. It's gonna snap back. Like, don't snap back so fast no more. So
Who you telling? I get it. Yeah.
so yeah, like I think, yeah, and hindsight is 2020, right? Like,
Mhm,
and I'm a nervous wreck, honestly. I'm like
mhm.
always overthinking something, right? And I just hope that, you know, I hope that younger me would see me and just feel like, you know what, like if I'm still gonna be doing this, like maybe I'll just wait. I'll just wait and just do it all then. Like it doesn't like it doesn't change. Like you don't like you still have anxiety. Okay, cool. So I
So this is good one? Fine, we're good.
yeah, like I could have been enjoying high school so much more. I was a little nerd. I was scared to get in trouble. Like I would have been now like you fine. This is fine. You can worry later. Like why are you such a responsible 16-year-old? Go sneak out the house. Like do kid things. That's what I think I would that's the realization I hope I would have.
Mhm.
My mother would hate that. So I hope nobody invents a time machine so that I can actually make that happen. Because,
Ooh, that's a fun idea. If there were a time machine, like, right in front of you, what would you go back to?
oh my. Well, let me ask first. Like,
Okay.
am I stuck, or is the time machine like is the time machine gonna drop me off, or
Oh,
is
no,
it
no,
going?
it's a two-way, you can come on back.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Um, I think I would. Where? What time would I go back to? It's so much history. It's
Right?
like I'm not even thinking about my own life. I'm like, what era in Black
Right.
history would I go back to? And it's
Let's
like,
say, like, 3 3 places because, like, one is you're right, it's really hard. But, like, we'll be, like, the top 3, like, places you go back to in time.
okay, yeah, I would go back to honestly, I would go back to the antebellum period. Like I think about my ancestors a lot. I would love to
Mhm,
like we hear about what happened or read about it, right? But
mhm,
like how much strength can come from like seeing people, live, right? Um
mhm.
and then next I think I would go to the probably the 20s.
Okay.
It just seems like a fun time. Like
Mhm,
well, shit is still happening, of course, right? But like, I don't know. Every time I hear about the 20s, like everybody is always like, I gotta look the best and like be dapper and that's vibes. Like I want to see, what y'all was really on, like feeling yourselves. And I think third, probably the civil rights era.
Word.
Yeah, I totally like I I would like to see that would be the one I'd probably be like, yeah, come get me later because um I just want to see where would I have ended up on that
Mhm,
like because I'm like I love Malcolm X to death.
mhm,
Like it's a picture of him right here. Like I stare at him while I'm on my computer, like
mhm.
glancing. Um but also you know, I love Black Panthers, but the Black Panthers is kind of problematic.
What? I
So
can't
it's just
imagine why. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, like yeah, could have seen it coming, right? Um but I just like what energy? Like am I
Mhm.
SNCC? Am I, stay at home and talk about everybody else? Like what do I do? I want to know. I'm just curious.
Right? Yeah. Oh, that'd be dope. Speaking of Antebellum, there's this Janelle Monáe movie called Antebellum. Have you seen it?
I have not finished it.
Okay, see that. Yeah, because holy shit, um, not sure if I needed that in my life.
My
Kind of,
sentiments exactly.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know if I needed. It felt like a, for lack of a better word, it felt like a slavery wet dream, or like a slavery uh, a fever dream.
Yeah.
Problematic.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's disappointing because you get movies like this. I kind of felt the same way with Queen and Slim,
I still
honestly.
haven't seen it. I can't bring myself to watch it. I just
It's not worth it. It's not. It's really not. Um yeah, cuz we go and see these movies expecting like actual
triumph.
discourse
Hmm.
or triumph or at the very least closure. At the very least,
Hmm.
like make it make sense. Like, and it's just like, nope, we're not giving y'all none of that. We giving you trauma. We serving you trauma. Like, and it's because we not the audience actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cause ain't no way. Look, antebellum, bro. If you're listening or watching, don't watch at your own risk. Okay, it is traumatic. I had some thoughts. Me and my dog snuggled for a couple nights. I was a little worried. But the premise is, there is this woman who is somehow kidnapped from her real life and then brought to the antebellum era, and it is, you know what? I don't even know why I'm going down this road, because this shit was something else. Just that's what I thought about when you said antebellum. As for skip right over that. As for the civil rights movement, thinking about where where would we be, as us right now, if we were grown ass adults in the civil rights era? Would we be on the streets? Because a lot of us went through that in the past 2020, when there were these rallies and not really riots, but protests all over the country. A lot of us went, but for the most part, they were peaceful. And we think about the civil rights movement, it did not go that way.
Hmm.
It was not peaceful. Would we risk our lives and livelihood and our health for something bigger than us? But
But I think
not,
more people would actually. I
yeah.
think so because
Mhm.
to me, and I don't do a lot of like marches and things, and that's because the ones that I've been to felt felt performative,
Mm.
and it ultimately depends on who's organizing it, what's their goals, like, and things like that, right? But I just happened to have went to one that was very obviously um organized or like promoted mostly towards um white folks, right? It just felt, I don't know. It's like there's a purpose for those too, right?
Mhm.
But it wasn't for me. I was like, oh, okay. Like if this is the march that white people go on so that they feel better, like that's fine. Like that could be helpful
Mhm.
potentially. Like, sure, but that's not my march.
Mhm.
Like I don't need to go on the white guilt march. That's so when it's I wonder if we felt like the context was different, you know,
Mhm.
if it would be more serious and more urgent because there wasn't no white parades of people marching for our, maybe one or two, occasionally they have these groups, right? But for the
Mhm.
most part, it's like, no, you see what's happening. It's happening to you. It's happening to you while you walking down the street. Like,
Mhm.
nobody's, this isn't a game. This isn't
Mhm.
a little barricaded hallway. Um, you know. So I don't know. And I feel like especially with the internet and social media, like a lot of people are like paralyzed by a fear of um inauthenticity, I think. Like everybody's
Ooh,
overly concerned with like something
right.
looking fake or something,
Gotta be
you know.
real.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I wondered though, if we were in the past though, and it's like, yeah, ain't nobody photoshopping this shit, bro. So are you coming or like now
Right.
that it's really real, like are you coming? So, that's why I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say because I'm like just I'm writing this stuff, but I'm not on the streets. Like I don't know how that would change with the different circumstances and um, whatever was going on back then that is different from how it looks now, as similar as things are.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that I get. Um, did you notice the um I just have happened to see this in passing on my phone about two people being acquitted of the Malcolm X assassination. Did you get a chance to so
Evidently not.
the FBI released I think it was last year or early this year released a bunch of information from the civil rights movement and before. I think they do that like every 20 years or something like that. Um and from the documents that they released, there was um, follow-up information that led them to believe that the people who were charged with Malcolm X's murder, assassination, did not kill him. And uh, if they could just arrest themselves, that'd be cool.
If only.
You heard what I said? Not you. I was just talking to the screen, breaking the fourth wall. Anyway, can we get into your next poem?
Yeah. Let's
Cool
see.
beans. I'll be going off on tangents. My bad.
No, it's cool. I do too.
Oh.
Let's see. Um, how about laughing to the bank?
Yeah, one day.
All right. Laughing to the bank. I don't write of the cartoonish thing split and jagged at its insides. Instead, how I break even on backs spindled by hate. I tell God I understand. What I mean, good people must die to let there be light in my house. We share a likeness, God and I, both laughing like green folded our throats, laughing mean while somebody's auntie asks for anything helps. Laugh when people say they don't want to read about the bad. Crying laughing as we pass pain off as an offering plate. Sometimes I nervous chuckle, knowing trauma pays. But the only time I really laugh is when I'm laughing to the bank.
What the fuck? Oh my. Okay. So when you said I tell God I understand, that right there, I think kind of it explains a little bit of the like the black diaspora of just, you know what, God, just give it to God. God, I understand. Even though we don't know what the fuck that plan was. It's gotta be something behind it, right? It's gotta be more. But do what you do, God.
Yeah, yeah.
Respectfully, just in case. Saying. Um, um, with anything helps. I've heard that so many times in my life, not just from aunts, from family members, from people like at the end of their rope. Anything helps. That that's special. Past paying off. as an offering plate. I'm gonna throw my shoe at you.
You ain't gonna have no shoes
I,
left.
I'm done with you. Pass my paint off as an offering plate. Like that, growing up in a Black Baptist church, that offering plate, first of all, that shit don't never stop passing. We
Never.
see you. It don't never stop. Like, didn't we just do this 10 minutes ago? We're doing this again? Why does God need my money?
And like all of it, like so much. Like, didn't you give me this? Why'd you didn't take what you wanted before you gave it to me?
I'm like, oh
Honestly.
my God, what is this envelope for? For checks? Who brings checks to church?
Oh my God. I love how it's always a different reason though each time it comes by. Like,
Building fund. We got to send these kids to Sunday school in the back. You going behind if the room is right there. What you need the money for? Like, we're trying to
oh
get
my
the new
goodness.
drums. We gotta fix this organ. This organ. The parking lot needs fixed. We park on the street. What you need all this money for? That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes they might slide a little something extra up in there.
Right.
You know, this is the
Hmm.
the anniversary fund.
Right.
A celebration of love fund. Like, sir,
Mhm.
it's Valentine's Day. I know what you're doing.
I see. I see. We're gonna send this money to Miss Townsend. Deacon Miss Townsend been dead for 3 years now. Why are we sending her money? Deacon, listen, I need you to slow down.
For real.
I don't know who Townsend or Deacon is. I'm just saying that it feels like I heard someone say once, and I really wish I could remember where it was. I just don't. That um the biggest detriment to the Black community is religion.
Mm.
And it hit me like growing up in a Black Baptist church, so many times we were taught whatever we're going through, just pray to God, give it to God. God will handle it. But listen, we about to get kicked out of this house. God ain't here. I need
Mhm.
help. I need physical help. Belief is not gonna pay my bills. I need more than that.
But it do pay some people's bills though. And I don't even mean like the offering plate. I mean like
Mhm,
I wouldn't say I wouldn't have said it was I do not like religion.
mhm,
Um but I have a hard time disparaging anything that helps a Black person get out of the bed in the morning.
mm,
Like,
mm,
if God does that for you, like, thank you, God. Like, I appreciate that. I appreciate you doing that for my grandmother.
mhm.
I might not agree with everything you got to say in that book of yours, but but I can appreciate, what what God has done for, God by however they define however they
Mhm,
define God, has done for Black people in
mhm,
mass. Like,
mhm,
we we have Martin Luther King Jr. without the church? Like, I can't imagine it. I haven't spent a lot of time imagining it, but it ain't something that just quickly comes to mind.
yeah,
Like, um I mean, and even Malcolm X, honestly, because Nation of Islam, that is a church. A church
mhm,
is a family. Like, that's all a church is. When you start to add the rules and all that stuff, then it become a religion. But
mhm.
these are things that are important to Black people, right? Hope, family, you
Hope.
know, and that's what religion provides. So, you know, if we needed that or still need it today,
Mhm,
then, okay. I accept it. Because also there is something different. I don't know, like I don't know, black religious homophobia,
Is
like
real.
it is real.
Mhm.
Um, it really is, but it also is different from a lot of other wrongs that I felt.
Mhm.
Um, just in a sense of it's because it's something, and I think black folks, just in my experience, I think black folks are not all right, but especially if you're very religious, you kind of homophobic until proven otherwise, right?
Yeah.
You
And I
kind of
mean
have
it
to
mhm.
like they kind of have to know you, and then but I like them, so now I got to
Mhm.
think about this shit, and I feel like that happens. um I feel like that happens quite a bit, not all the time, unfortunately. And I mean,
Mhm.
even that's not perfect, right? Because it's still
Mhm.
you just said that weird thing, your homophobia is showing. Calm down now.
Mhm.
um don't pull the Bible out on me, um but yeah, it's just I just accept it. I'm it's aggravating sometimes, but um people need it.
Yeah. And I mean I do feel like black homophobia more so than other homophobia is rooted in generational trauma. You know, we can't there are so many things that um we did not heal from um, as a people. You know, I listen a lot to Charlamagne the God into the Breakfast Club. He has this great quote where he says that we, like in our late 30s, early 40s, are the first generation of Black people who have the luxury of healing.
Mm.
Because now, like we're talking more about mental health and the importance of going um, to therapy, and we're teaching our youngers how to do that. But the idea of black homophobia, one, it's please stop. If you could just stop, that'd be great. It's
Yeah, that'd
okay to
be the
be happy.
best option,
Yeah,
actually.
come on now. I mean, we can't. We the idea of being homophobic while holding a Bible makes no sense to me. Um, the Bible is supposed to be about love and acceptance, and um, yeah, just less of that. Yeah, and the more you know, the more you put yourself out there, the easier it is to love people who aren't like you. And I mean, isn't that? I feel like that's one of the many um, fun things about life. You get to meet like all these new people and learn all these new things, and you get to love people you never thought you'd like encounter before, and that's fucking awesome and really fucking awesome, amazing. I say awesome a lot. I don't know why. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I totally agree. I think yeah, a lot of these things are, I don't like, it's self-imposed barriers to
Mm.
community, right?
Mhm.
And to connectedness, I guess, right? And um
Mm.
yeah, I don't totally know why that is. I guess it's not on me to know. Um but it does for some reason bring to mind this book that I've been telling everybody about since I heard about it or read it, actually,
Mm.
which is My Grandmother's Hands.
Man, you better stop it. Listen, I got that book right here. This book has been a lifesaver.
Yes,
Y'all go get this.
yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Yes. I
yes.
love you too, Kathy. Kathy said, I'm pretty sure that's Kathy. Said, I love you. T, I love you. And the Bible tells us not to judge. You are very right, Kathy. And I hope that Kathy is one of my um, old advisors at college and also like a second mother to me. Like Kathy is awesome.
Oh,
And She don't like when I be cussing, and whew, listen, I'm only human. I'm only human. But Kathy has been one of those people who reads the Bible and is very religious and has come around on LGBTQ, and that's beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I cut you off. My grandmother's hands.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It just helps me understand a lot, like h- how we sometimes, I don't know, it feels like self-sabotaging
Mhm.
peace. Um, our piece, right? But it's also, I think, reflexive. And that's what that book helped me to understand. Like, none of this is really anybody's fault that it
Mhm.
happens. Like, we just need to take more accountability in, like, trying to recognize and, make the necessary corrections to, like, live more peacefully with one another. And, of course, that's the challenge because, like, I have to mention the book. Nobody's read it but you. And I'm like, y'all need to get this. Like, this is some
Please.
life changing stuff right here. And y'all just like missing out because you don't read. Like, that's such a horrible reason. Like,
Yeah.
please get this so
Audible
that
is
we
the
can,
thing. People will
yeah,
read it to
yeah.
you. Go get it.
Uh, yes, Libby, Hoopla, like, look at your local library.
Mhm.
Um, like, just try to get this, ask them to buy it. Like, whatever you got to do. Cause, yeah, I just think we kind of need that kind of self-awareness to be like, ooh, like, that's a soft spot for me. Like, I need to process that or put up safeguards so that I don't end up like lashing out at
Mhm.
the person, talking to me from Amazon customer service. Like, like, we don't always understand how these events are related to each other, right?
Mhm.
And how much stuff wears on us um daily that we end up putting on to other people sometimes.
Mhm.
And I think that that's um like, I know we're talking about homophobia, but I don't, it just seems like part of a larger issue of just being like reflex, like, to have like a reflex in which you resist someone,
Mhm.
and you might not even fully understand why that is.
Mhm.
Um, because sometimes it is physiological, unfortunately. Like, hate, that's a very visceral emotion, you feel that in your body. And
Mhm.
it's like, that's something worth investigating, not just intellectualizing all the time. Like, if intellectualizing helps, great, but also like listen to your body. Like, you're getting a little tense. Like, explore that.
Mhm.
Um oh, that was just my little tangent. And any chance to mention that book, I do. So it found its
Yes.
way in.
Yes. That book has been. I'm still going through it. It's been a life saving. Like learning about clean and dirty pain. I was just like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
You guys, go read the book, please. Yeah. So my last question, but before we get out of here, I ask every guest, well, I try to this question, and the answer is always different because it's personal to you. Um, what part of your talent most impresses you?
Mm. Hmm.
I know, right? It's a hard question to ask because you don't want to seem conceited, but also you're just like, I be doing some good shit. Like, yeah.
Right? Like,
Sorry, Kathy.
um, yeah, yeah. I'm like, what is my favorite part? I never thought about it in these terms. Like, I've always been like, this is what you got, work with it. So now I'm like, what's my favorite? I think I think I like my favorite thing would definitely have to be my playfulness.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't, especially when it comes to poetry, like if I can sprinkle in a little like like sensuality or a little something taboo or a little flirtiness, it's like hee hee hee. Like I just dropped that in there, like 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 things that you're like um you wouldn't necessarily want your grandma to read, but if you read it, you would be like, "Ah, that's not that bad." Like that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, like this is a double entendre. Like this is I meant it the other way, right? And I think that's because it kind of keeps me on my own toes. It's like,
Mhm.
you silly. Like I have a new a new poem like one I wrote recently,
Mhm.
and like what's happening in the poem is the person is reading the 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 Bible or learning to read the Bible for themselves. They're a slave person reading the Bible and basically like upon learning to read having like this like just it's just this very climactic moment in their lives like things came together because now they can read the Bible for themselves. They realize that all that like obey your masters and all that is like,
Mhm.
oh, it's a whole flip side in here where this guy like you know there's Moses and us being free and all these things, and it's like so exciting and revelatory. And at one part in the poem, um I say like, Lord, turn my clapped cheeks the other way. I couldn't help myself.
Kathy, can we please? We got some time, bro. Can we please hear this poem if you have it with you?
Yeah, let me see if I can
Let me
pull it up.
turn my fat feet. Wow.
So yeah, I like doing stuff like that. That would be my favorite part of my talent. I'm just silly sometimes, and it makes writing more enjoyable.
Mhm.
Um, so let's see. Okay, here we go. So
Kathy said, "Oh boy."
yeah, you're gonna have to forgive me for this one. Um, okay, it's called "While Reading the Bible, My Ancestor Receives the Lord."
Okay.
Oh, Lord, listen. Look, here, each aching alphabet lashes the throat. My O is fear and a trembling kiss. I grip your spine and am fed by your flesh. Every L I take is a tongue to your backside. Again, another O as I lay lips on you again like hands. My jaw jacks the slim curve of the R. This D rain pounds the roof of my mouth when you are in me, makes off with my plagued breath on the way out. Every night I make sacrifice of soft palate, fold trachea in prayer. Lord, let my words articulate what the body won't pronounce. May the purr of my Lord fearing voice roar into honeyed maturation after you have come all over me. Give me strength to sermon what I can't swallow. Oh Lord, turn my clapped cheeks the other way. Your every word make my body chorus. I may not be sung back into submission. Amen.
Yo, first of all, Everyone, check out the link in the chat and go buy the book immediately. Immediately. The I would like you to submit that poem for college reading, please. Mhm.
Nice.
Yes, I want to see a room full of college students in creative writing and in acting one classes read that poem, please. That's that's what I'd like in my life. Kathy said, "Oh Lord." That was dope. So I really loved the reoccurrence of the O. The O
Mhm.
as in what I see. The O as in oh God, the fear, and then the O as in the big O as in orgasm. And I feel like those um kind of go together. If
Kinda.
kinda.
It's a Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
bit
we
of
don't
an
have to.
extended metaphor, but
You had this really, really fun line of my jaw jacked, the slim curve, and I missed the rest, but um just that the way that that sounded, you know, coming out was just it just sounded fun. Like my jaw jacked, the slim curve. Could you tell me what the next line is?
the slim curve of the R. So, actually, in the first half of the poem, the person
Mhm,
is actually like very slowly pronouncing like Lord. So, I'm like trying to take folks through like this is how the Lord's name feels in in their mouth.
mhm.
And then once they've said that, then the rest of it, comes in, clap cheeks and all.
Yo, please submit it immediately. Immediately. Oh my gosh. I
Maybe I'll
really
I'll ask my students to read it.
could
I'll
you
have to
gotta
send
film
it
it.
to you.
I need it in my life. As a person who went to creative writing classes and acting one classes, let me tell you, shit gets weird. You know who you are.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Um, yeah. That's it for us this week. First things first. I had another question for you, and I want to ask it.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
we will find the time. Um, so it's kind of long winded, but it'll be fun. You identify as a Black queer disabled poet. What parts of your intersectional identity do you think speaks the loudest?
Definitely the black.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always talking about it. Like, I mean, I obviously look black, like other things maybe, if I just be quiet and be still, like nobody has to know. Right? But um, black really takes that's number 1, right? And then it's like so hard to kind of think about which ones the most though after that, because like they're often tangled up in each other, right?
Mhm,
In some way or another. Um and that's honestly something that I'm still like grappling with.
mhm,
Um like for me personally, I feel like being queer actually is probably the one I worry about the least, honestly.
mhm,
Um, like it's very hard being black. It's very hard being a black woman. Um, it's very hard being a disabled black woman. Even though
mhm,
admittedly a lot of that's internal. But then when I get to, being a queer disabled black woman, it's like, I mean, if you like just don't tell everybody your business, right? Like that's still like stuff I gotta kind of work on, but I don't like I'm not I don't let it get in the way of things. I guess I should say like sometimes I feel like being a woman is inconvenient, especially depending on where you are.
Mhm.
Hello, mechanics. Um but other things it's like, oh, okay, this isn't this like being physically disabled is also a very obvious inconvenience, but it's like being queer doesn't inconvenience me as much because it's something I have a choice whether or not I disclose it to people.
Mm.
Whereas the other things are like whether I want you up in my business or not. Like
You all
you
up
kind
in
of
here.
know the thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you know too much about me. But um, I put that I use that as a bio because, I acknowledge that I am impacted by all of it, and I also want to connect with folks who are also impacted with all or a few or one or none. We can share about our different lived experiences if you like, but just so cuz I don't have an archive, right? Like I'm not planning on having kids, so I want people to find me one day and be like, "Oh, it's Black Disabled Queer Woman History Month," and
We're celebrating Ashanti Anderson
yep, the whole month.
the
Just
whole month.
that was very extremely specific. Like, was this designed for someone in particular? Like, no, it's more of us out there for real. I think we
Right.
could. I think we could do a month.
Hmm.
I think so.
I think so. Yeah. Kathy said, "Well said points, Ashanti."
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. All right, folks, that is it for us this week. Thank you so much for being here with us, Ashanti. Thank you for sharing your poetry and your thoughts. I find you fascinating. Happy
Thank
birthday
you.
to your wife.
Likewise. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will pass that along.
That's right. Scorpio gang, guys. Okay? Scorpios are misunderstood. Just give us a chance. Just give us a chance. That's all I'm saying. All right, folks. We will see you next week. Remember, hurt people. So keep an eye on your pain. Stay safe. Godspeed. And we'll see you next week. Deuces. Go Yankees.